Hi, welcome to Inspire with Liz. Jeremy Schulz has a captivating life. He's an alum of our Cooperative Master of Divinity program. As a student, his community cared for him as he faced life challenges. These experiences led him to be who he is right now. As a hospice spiritual counselor, an author on queer spirituality, especially queer survival, he has written 7 papers to date. His most recent presentation was in Amsterdam. Learn about Jeremy and how he contributes to peace. Hi, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Liz?
Good, thank you. What program do you belong to when you were at HIU?
I was in the Cooperative M.div.
All right. And what have your life been after this program?
It's been wild. I graduated in 2018 from the program. I transferred to Boston University School of Theology, where I completed my M.div, and then I stayed an additional year to do a master's in sacred theology. And after that, I moved back to Albuquerque. That's where I'm from, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Mm-hmm. I moved back last June, so I've been here a year officially tomorrow. And I've been working as a hospice spiritual counselor. We use spiritual counselor instead of chaplain to be a little more inclusive. And then I've been traveling. Since September of last year, I've written and presented 7 papers in Boston, in Riverside, California, here in Albuquerque. I've got 2 coming up in November in Denver. And then I was in Amsterdam last month presenting a paper.
Oh my God, that sounds really great. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Is there a common theme in all of them?
There is. So I center a lot of my writing on queer spiritualities, particularly queer survival. I'm a survivor of sexual violence. And during my time at Hartford, actually, Dr. Chanel Smith was my everything. And she helped me give voice to my experiences of surviving. And so that's a lot of what I write about is unique ways that individuals who are queer and trans engage with the divine outside of traditional ways of looking at the sacred.
It's really nice to hear that you use your life experiences to channel it into something that could help other people as well. What's the most valuable lesson that you have learned at HIU that have completely changed your perspective in life, and maybe how it helped you in your hospice position?
Yeah. So I think a couple things come to mind. Because I'm queer and trans, I oftentimes enter into spaces and am different than other people that occupy the spaces. And one of the big things I learned at my time during my time in Hartford was that a lot of people enter into spaces with a lot of differences. And with all those differences, we are still very similar in the ways that we approach the world, in our humanness, in our divineness. And so that's one really big thing I learned. One thing I've found really interesting in doing chaplaincy in my role now, New Mexico last year passed legislation so that we have medical aid in dying as an option for people who are diagnosed with a terminal illness. And I've had the honor that I never thought I even thought about, let alone imagine myself being in relationship with people, to spend time with folks as they actively choose to die. And I've really interrogated that more. I'm presenting a paper in November at the American Academy of Religions on spiritual care and medical aid in dying and honoring the choice to die. And it's been interesting spending dialoguing with other chaplains and spiritual care providers, because it's not something that they've always thought about. Yeah, so I think Hartford International has done a wonderful job of preparing people for the changing climate of spiritual care and conversations around religion and social justice. And then, while I was at Hartford, my brother died unexpectedly the last semester, my last month I was there. And that's the way that I was cared for by my community while there and afterwards, I think was a huge way impact in my life and how I care for people today. Because now I spend time with people all the time who are on the verge of transitioning. And so that experience of being someone who was ministered to in the midst of grief and loss really helped me to see how it's done well, and to be just to show up with my whole self into these conversations with people that are really challenging sometimes.
Yes, actually, I had the opportunity to interview other people who belong to the Cooperative Master of Divinity program. Yeah. And then they also come with this, they wanted to be a chaplain because they also were cared for at some point, right? Yeah. It's like the chain of goodness keeps happening. And I love hearing about this. It's like a calling, I'll say, right? Like, yeah, you feel it and then you want to give it to other people as well.
Exactly.
That's really awesome.
It is awesome. And I think the preparation course-wise when I was at Hartford was also really impactful. Dr. Watts was really informative for how I approach pastoral care and understanding that chaplaincy isn't about anything I have. It's about meeting people where they're at and supporting them in whatever that looks like. And chaplaincy is inherently interfaith. And the future of spiritual care work, I think, is chaplaincy and interfaith specifically. So I couldn't have planned my future better than by going to Hartford. When I got to Boston, I spent time with people who were also in chaplaincy, concentrated programs, and I felt like I walked in with a big advantage because it was intentionally spending time with people who are different from you. And I don't think a lot of people who go to seminary outside of a Hartford experience really fully get to have that. And so I went in to the rest of my degree program and then my second master's with so much more than I think some of my colleagues did. And it has paid off.
Thank you. Thank you for your words. Thank you for taking the time to sit with us and share your fantastic life after HIU.
Thank you for having me. I've loved it.